Hey, I'm Amanda with Big Duck Canvas. I would love to show you how to make this slipcover. I'm going to use a 10-ounce cotton duck. It's available on our website. It comes in a whole bunch of colors and they've got it for wholesale pricing. So that's great. The duck is the perfect material to use for a slipcover because it's so versatile and sturdy. It'll last a really long time. So there's just a few steps we're going to go over to get started, and the first step is going to be measuring for yardage. The most important place to measure is going to be from the two widest parts of the back of your sofa. All you need to do is get an old sheet, flexible paper like newsprint or something like that. This is an old flat sheet that I have that I don't mind cutting up. So I'm going to be using that to make my pattern. You're going to get some pins and a piece of chalk. And you just want to pin your fabric on. It's okay to make holes in the sofa. Put it on there pretty tight. I try to get it in all the corners of this armrest so I know where the ending points are. Once you have it in a spot, it's flat, you can just take a piece of chalk and start making a rubbing of the edges. And this is a good technique to use for making a pattern for anything. Clothing, anything you want to make a copy of. You can just do a rubbing like this to get the shape. And this arm is really angular, and I really don't want my slipcover to be this angular. I want it to kind of be a little bit more relaxed. So I'm going to make where this line is right here, but I think I'm going to do something different for the pattern. Maybe make the pattern be more rounded right here. I think I want to have two seams here because I'm going to use piping. So I'm going to make a pattern for the top of this armrest. Same thing, just put it on. Nice. So you just keep going. You would do the side of this arm down to the floor. You're going to want to decide beforehand if you're going to want a ruffled skirt, if you're going to want box pleats in the corner. I just look around at some images and see what kind of style of slipcover you want to make. Okay, so these are the templates that were made out of the old sheet. They're little patterns. This is the front of the armrest and this is the top of the armrest. I've got them laid out here on my 10-ounce duck that are pre-washed. I've got a marking tool and scissors. So what we're going to do is get about an inch. We're going to go about 1 inch out. So that's about right here. And I'm just going to trace around. Okay. This is the spot where the armrest kind of curves in. I don't want it to curve in. I want it to be a little bit more rounded. So I'm going to kind of make it go like this. Okay, there's that piece. This is the top of the armrest. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to have that 1 inch. Trace around it. So we've got all 3 pieces of the armrest cut out from our template. You can see that this one has a little bit more curve than the sofa does, which I'm excited about. It's going to be really pretty. The next thing we're going to do is make the piping. So I've got the fabric wrapped around the filler cord. I've got the zipper foot attachment on, and I've got my needle pressed down, ready to go up against this cording. So I just keep it nice and tight. And every so often I just come down here and fold it again and keep it really straight. So I've got my piping sewed, this is going to be the seam here, so you won't see this, and this is going to be the piping edge will be like this. So I'm taking these pins, just holding it in place, and wherever you have a curve, you can snip your piping all the way up to this stitch, and it'll just be a little bit more flexible for you and give you the shape that you want. I've got it all pinned, and I choose to start here. Still have my zipper foot on, so I can get really close to the edge. With this stitch, it's not as important as your next one is going to be. You could use a basting stitch right here, because these aren't going to show. So just keep that in mind. You can see I've got 2 stitches here that show, and these are going to be covered up in the seam later on. So I'd like to show you quickly how to do the box pleat in the front of your slipcover if you choose to do that. And you can follow these same instructions to do them on the corners too if you want to do the pleats at the corners. So this is my front panel piece of the slipcover. I've marked my center point with this V, and I did that just by folding it in half and snipping it. So that's where I know I want my pleat to be. So you can decide how big or small you want your pleat, and you basically are just going to fold in. Make sure that each side is the same. I'm just going to pin it in place. And I'm going to sew across here to hold it in place even better than the pins. Okay, so there is a box pleat. Okay, so I'm pinning my pieces inside out for the arm right here. This is a symmetrical sofa, so when it's said and done, this arm is actually going to be on that arm over there. So I'm just going to continue along until I have the whole thing pinned. It's really important that you take your time and do a good job with the pinning, because it's going to make the sewing portion go a lot smoother. And you'll do less fumbling around and trying to figuring out what you're doing. So now that I've got the entire slipcover pinned in all the seams, I'm ready to start sewing. I want to try and sew it all in one swoop. It is a little bit easier if you'd like to sew it in pieces, so you don't have such a big piece. Once you get it inside out over your machine, you're not going to know heads from tails what part that you're sewing. So as long as you have it pinned really well, and you know you're going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance, you're going to be fine. Just stick with it until you've gone through all the seams and removed all your pins, and you'll be good. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose a seam. I've got my straight foot on now. Start right here. You're going to be careful at your intersections. This is the intersection right here. I've got a lot of bulk right here. So I'm just going to be very careful. And we can always come back later and trim up some of these edges. And I'm also going to show you how to finish the edges so they don't fray once you're done. So I'll start. Okay. So your slipcover is basically finished, but if you could just take it one more step further, that would be great if you want to finish your edges. So this looks nice now, but after you wash it a few times, it's going to fray and get to be a big mess. So obviously if you have a serger, you're going to want to use that because it makes this a whole lot nicer. But using the edge foot and a zigzag stitch will accomplish what you need to do to keep it from fraying. So I've got an edge foot, and I'm on my zigzag stitch. I'm just going to go over all the seams to lock them up. If you've gone ahead and made the entire slipcover, you should be able to cover your cushions. It's going to make a huge difference. It's basically just cutting out rectangles. I just kind of measure exactly what they had here and cut my pieces to match that. This one has a zipper, as most cushions are going to have zippers in the back, which will be great for washing later. I chose to do piping on mine so that it matches the rest of what I've done. I've go ahead and sewed on my piping right here, you can see. And we're going to do the zipper, and there's no reason to be afraid of putting the zipper in. I'm going to go over how to make that really easy. Okay, for the zipper, just go ahead and think about it as a long strip of fabric that opens up in the middle that you're going to be sewing in. So I've got 2 narrow strips, these 2, and then the zipper's in the middle. You're going to take your zipper and you're going to turn it face down on one of the edges, the first edge. I moved that out of the way. I'm going to unzip it so I can get it nice and flat. I'm just going to pin it in place. Once you get really good at zippers, you don't really even need to pin them anymore. I just like to do it so you don't start sewing on the wrong side of the zipper. Okay, so I've got it in place. You can just pick a place on your zipper that you want to be consistent with to sew. So I'm just going to lay this down because it's going to, when it's sewed, it's going to fold over this way. Pin this down. Okay, so I've got it all pinned. I'm going to peek and see if it's pinned right, and it is. So now I'm going to start my sewing. I like to sew from the zipper side. That way I can see how close I am to the zipper. I'm just going to do the same thing I did before. There you have your zipper is sewed in, and like I said before, you can do a top stitch. You don't have to. The top stitch is going to make it look really nice. Okay, so I'm continuing on the cushion. I've got the zipper piece sewed to the other exterior piece. I'm going to put those 2 together. Start sewing. To cross over the zipper teeth with my needle, and I definitely don't want my needle to hit the zipper teeth because it'll break. So I'm going to go really slow, and then I'm going to manually turn my wheel. See that? There's actually a piece of metal right there that I'm going to hit, so I'm going to kind of scoot it just a tiny bit until, there we go, I can put my needle down. And then, before I continue, I'm going to go over it backwards again. And then forwards again. Going right into the zipper teeth right now. It went through just fine. Now I'm out. That's the fabric. Take it off. And just see, make sure. And there you go. Okay, so I finished my cushion. I've sewed the top and bottom piece on. Here's my piping sticking out here. I'm glad I did that. It's just going to be on the top. And I've got the zipper here. And everything looks really good, so I'm excited to go and put these on the sofa and see how everything turned out. Okay, so we have our finished slipcover here. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I love working with the canvas. I know it's going to hold up really well and wash really well, so that's great. It's not too loose, it's not too tight, and you know, it's been a great project. If you're intimidated by doing something this big, you shouldn't be at all, because if you can sew straight and you're confident in your sewing abilities, there's no reason that you can't make this slipcover. If you have any questions about it, feel free to email us through the Contact Us page on the website, and we'll be happy to help you in any way we can. So thanks for checking out